The moving truck had barely cooled when the trouble started. Suncrest Estates looked serene on the surface, manicured lawns, color-coordinated mailboxes, and streets with names like Meadowbrook and Whispering Pines. But beneath its polished veneer lurked a rigid order enforced by one woman's iron grip. I'd only heard whispers about her before we moved in. HOA Karen, the neighbors called her. Her real name was Karen Whitmore, president of the Homeowners Association for the past 7 years running. Rumor had it she'd run off a retired couple over a lawn gnome and find a single dad into foreclosure over non-regulation patio furniture. But I wasn't worried. I had nothing to hide. Just a fresh start with my new wife Lana and our old shepherd mix Max. We'd closed on the house fair and square. Cash offer, no debt, no baggage. Or so I thought. The sun hadn't even set when Corin materialized like a summoned spirit, clip-clopping across the pavement in kitten heels, wielding a clipboard as if it were a sheriff's badge. She didn't smile. I wasn't notified of a second occupant. I paused, mid-box, confused. Excuse me. Karen tilted her head toward Lana, who was unloading duffel bags from the back seat. Your guest. The HOA requires prior approval for new residents. It's clearly stated in Section 5B of the Neighborhood Covenant. She's not a guest, I said slowly. She's my wife. Karen's expression shifted, not to surprise, but to something colder, like someone had just tracked mud across her imported rugs. I see, she said, eyes narrowing. Still, she wasn't listed on the purchase disclosure. All new residents must complete a background check and HOA orientation. It's for everyone's safety. Lana chuckled under her breath, brushing a strand of hair from her brow. Lady, I've had background checks more intense than you can imagine. Karen's jaw tightened. I'll need her full name for documentation. And the dog's breed, too. Certain animals are prohibited. His name's Max, I said, forcing calm. He's a rescue. Good with kids. Bad with nonsense. Karen wrote something on her clipboard. You'll receive a citation. Consider this your formal notice. Lana stepped forward. You're citing us for what exactly? Moving into our own home. Karen ignored her, turned on her heel, and marched away without a goodbye. We exchanged a look. Lana smiled wryly. Is this what you meant by quiet suburban life? Apparently, I misread the brochure. That night, while unpacking, a neatly typed letter slid under the front door. Violation. Notice: unauthorized occupant, fine $500. Failure to comply may result in legal action. The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. But Lana didn't find it funny. I've lived through war zones, command briefings, and military tribunals, she muttered. I will not be bullied by a woman with a printer and a power complex. I placed a calming hand on her shoulder. Let's ignore her, she's just flexing. But Karen didn't back off. Over the next few days, the petty offenses multiplied. We got cited for leaving a moving box on the curb. Then a violation for Lana hanging a wind chime that violated uniform aesthetic. Each letter came with an escalating fine. It was harassment dressed in legalese. Then came Sunday morning. We were having breakfast on the porch, Max at our feet. Sunlight cutting through the trees when the wail of sirens pierced the calm. A patrol car screeched to a halt outside our home. 2 officers stepped out, one with a hand already near his belt. I stood, confused. Can I help you? Sir, we've had a report of a possible squatter situation, one officer said. A resident here may not be authorized to live on the premises. Lana stood beside me, arms crossed, silent. I looked between the officers, stunned. She's my wife. We own this house. We still need to verify ID, sir. It's procedure. Without a word, Lana reached into her wallet and handed over a small laminated card. The officer studied it, then blinked hard. Ma'am, he said, straightening his posture, I thank you for your service. He handed the card back with a slight shake of the head and a clear look of embarrassment. From the corner of my eye, I saw her, Karen, watching from the sidewalk, arms folded smugly. That changed the moment the officer saluted. Lana. Karen's face drained of color. Lana stepped toward her slowly, her voice low but unmistakable. Next time you call the cops, be sure you know who you're reporting. Karen turned away without a word, disappearing behind her curtain of hydrangeas. And just like that, the game changed. But Lana had no intention of playing by Karen's rules. If Karen had any sense of shame, it didn't show. If anything, her efforts intensified after the police incident. Maybe it was wounded pride. Maybe she didn't like being publicly outmaneuvered. Or maybe control was the only thing she truly worshipped. 2 days later, another citation appeared in our mailbox, this time for improper flag display. Lana had hung a modest American flag outside the front window, the same one she carried in her duffel during deployments to Kandahar and Syria. According to Karen's notice, it violated Suncrest's uniform facade regulations. We ignored it. The next morning, Lana found a fresh envelope taped to Max's leash hook on the porch. Unauthorized dog breed. Animal poses a threat to community safety. Remove within 7 days. Lana stared at the paper, unmoving, then slowly folded it and slid it into her back pocket. Max, oblivious, wagged his tail. He's a retired canine, Karen. She muttered to no one in particular. He's trained to detect explosives, not chase toddlers. Karen never confronted us directly anymore. She operated like a petty warlord, sending fines and veiled threats through official-looking letters. But we saw her peering through her blinds, scribbling in her notebook during Lana's morning runs. She even had the gall to take photos of Max while he napped in our front yard. The tension grew like storm clouds. Lana started waking up earlier, running longer, training harder. She installed a pull-up bar in the garage and left the door open as she worked out deliberately visible. Karen hated it one morning. Lana was halfway through her sprints when Karen stomped into the street in pastel sneakers, holding her phone like a weapon. "This is harassment," she shrieked. "You are disturbing the peace." Lana paused, sweat glistening on her brow. "This is cardio. You want me to demonstrate a combat role?" Karen backed off, flustered. "I'm documenting everything." Lana didn't respond. She resumed her run, Max trotting faithfully beside her, tongue out, tail wagging. I asked her later if it was wise to provoke Karen. "She's not used to resistance," Lana said, wiping down her weights. "I'm not used to submission." Still, it wasn't just about pride anymore. Karen was chipping away at our daily lives, trying to bury us in bureaucracy until we gave up, and she was getting bolder. That week an official letter arrived, this one certified, a formal petition for Lana's removal from the neighborhood due to failure to comply with HOA residency protocol. Attached was a list of fabricated violations, a note requesting arbitration, and a warning that continued disruption may result in legal escalation. Lana read the entire thing in silence. Then, very calmly, she placed the letter on the table, walked to her closet, and pulled out a worn binder from her military files. "Karen just picked a fight she can't finish. What are you planning?" "I asked first," she said, flipping through documents. "I'm going to dismantle this fake little empire of hers." She pulled out the HOA bylaws, the Suncrest Covenant, and a copy of the state's HOA compliance statute. She highlighted inconsistencies, flagged expired clauses, and circled entire sections in red. "She's violating federal protections for veterans. Section 508 of the Service Members Civil Relief Act." Also, Lana paused, her eyes scanning the board roster. "Their non-profit registration expired last year. This HOA is technically defunct." I leaned back, eyebrows raised. "Sure about that? I've survived combat, interrogations, and for separate disciplinary reviews. This is just paperwork with a bad attitude." She spent the next few nights at the kitchen table, cross-referencing documents, pulling public records, and drafting a formal complaint to the state attorney general. She also sent a courtesy copy to a veterans legal defense group. By Friday, she'd compiled a 34-page dossier complete with screenshots, legal statutes, and annotated violations. Karen's next letter never arrived, but Lana wasn't finished. She contacted 3 neighbors, 2 of whom had lived under Karen's thumb for years, and invited them over for coffee. Within an hour, they were venting about unjust fines, ignored appeals, and community meetings where dissenting voices were conveniently silenced. "She calls it a board, but it's just her and her bridge club," one said bitterly. Lana nodded. "Then it's time we remind her what a real chain of command looks like." And so, the battle lines shifted. Karen had gone from rule enforcer to rule breaker, only now she was dealing with someone trained to dismantle structures, not just survive them. Lana wasn't at war yet, but she was definitely on the march. Karen must have sensed the ground shifting beneath her, but she didn't retreat. Instead, she doubled down, flooding the neighborhood. Bulletin board with memos about restoring order and preserving Suncrest's values. Thinly veiled digs aimed directly at Lana. But while Karen fired off passive-aggressive emails, Lana built a legal war machine that started with a cease and desist letter, a crisp, bulletproof document Lana drafted with the help of a veterans legal defense group, citing multiple violations of the Service Members Civil Relief Act. It warned the HOA to halt all discriminatory action against her or face legal consequences. The letter was hand-delivered to Karen's door and signed for. Karen didn't respond. Instead, 2 days later, another letter arrived, this one on HOA letterhead. It accused Lana of intimidating behavior, unauthorized surveillance, and creating an unsafe environment. It concluded with an invitation to a disciplinary hearing before the HOA board. Lana smirked as she read it. "She really thinks I'm going to sit through a kangaroo court in her dining room." "Will you go?" I asked. "Oh, I'll be there," she said, "but I won't be the one on trial." She prepared meticulously. She printed minutes from past HOA meetings. Turns out, Karen hadn't documented votes in over a year. She gathered testimonies from neighbors who'd been silenced, fined, or ignored, and then she pulled the final thread. The expired non-profit status. Suncrest Estates HOA had failed to renew its registration with the state 2 years ago. Legally, they couldn't collect dues, enforce rules, or issue fines, and Karen, as acting president, was personally liable for any misuse of funds during that time. Lana filed a complaint with the state attorney general's office and sent a detailed package to the county compliance board. Then she posted a simple message on the neighborhood online forum. "Greater than. To all Suncrest residents, please be advised that the HOA has been operating without valid legal status. All fines, fees, and enforcement actions since date may be unlawful. A full investigation is now underway. It was like throwing a grenade into a porcelain tea party. Within hours, the comments exploded. Neighbors who had once cowered beneath Karen's rule now demanded answers. A few revealed their own horror stories, petty fines, threats of lien placements, even a neighbor who'd been denied exterior home repairs due to insufficient paint tone consistency. Karen, true to form, tried to shut it down. She posted her own message, riddled with defensive language. Everything is under control. We are addressing the clerical oversight. Any claims of legal action are baseless and slanderous. But no one was buying it anymore. Then came the video. Lana had been recording every interaction for weeks just in case. One clip, only 30 seconds, captured Karen marching up to our porch, finger jabbing at Lana's chest. You need to learn your place, Karen snapped. Lana didn't flinch. My place is wherever I choose. And right now, it's here on land I own, protected by rights you don't get to redefine. Karen lunged for the phone, trying to knock it from Lana's hand. The screen went shaky for a second, but the audio remained crystal clear. I'll ruin you, Karen hissed. Not if I dismantle you first, Lana said calmly. Lana uploaded the clip to the same forum, under the heading HOA Abuse. When power turns personal, by morning it had spread to local Facebook groups, a veteran support page, and even the inbox of a local news anchor. Karen's power dissolved like sugar in hot water soon after. Residents began requesting a special vote to dissolve the current board. Karen's own inner circle, those who once nodded silently at her every decree, distanced themselves. One even sent Lana a thank you card. Another dropped off a pie with an apology note. It was quiet for a few days after that. Peaceful too. Peaceful. Then, on a windy Thursday morning, we got a visit. A silver Lexus pulled into our driveway. Out stepped a sharply dressed man with a leather briefcase and a clipped tone. Ma'am, I represent the legal interests of Karen Whitmore. She's prepared to offer a settlement. Lana raised an eyebrow. I didn't realize we were in negotiations. The man cleared his throat. In exchange for dropping the complaints, she's willing to retract all citations, resign from the HOA, and issue a formal apology. Lana didn't blink. She has no power left to retract anything, she said, but she can apologize. The man shifted uncomfortably. And the complaints? They stand. With that, he left. No papers signed, no hands shaken. Lana watched him drive off, then turned to me. People like her think silence is defeat, she said, but sometimes, silence is just the sound of strategy. She wasn't finished yet, but Karen, she was already folding. By the end of the month, the neighborhood that once whispered behind closed doors had found its voice. Karen's silence wasn't just noticeable, it was deafening. Her usual parade down the cul-de-sac, clipboard in hand and lips puckered in judgment, had vanished. The flowers in her pristine front yard began to wilt. The weekly HOA bulletins stopped, and the once manicured image she clung to like a crown began to crumble. But Lana wasn't done. Not until the roots of Karen's power were pulled up and burned. The state's compliance board issued a formal notice. Suncrest Estates Homeowners Association is hereby ordered to cease all enforcement activities until legal standing is restored. The document, stamped and signed, arrived in every resident's mailbox that same day. A letter from the Department of Housing and Urban Development confirmed receipt of Lana's federal discrimination complaint. Their investigation had officially begun. It wasn't just about citations anymore. It was about accountability and consequences. Lana had turned over every stone. She discovered that Karen had been collecting dues into a personal bank account temporarily. Karen claimed in an email leaked because the HOA's official treasury had been frozen due to paperwork issues. The neighborhood treasurer, a soft-spoken widower named Mr. Delaney, had no knowledge of any of it. He stepped down immediately and submitted a statement against Karen. Within days, Lana and several neighbors called for a formal vote to disband the current HOA board and re-elect a new one from scratch. Karen refused to attend the meeting, but she couldn't stop it. Lana stood at the front of the community clubhouse, no longer just defending herself but speaking for the residents who'd been steamrolled for years. The HOA is supposed to protect property values, not bully families. It's meant to serve, not dominate. I didn't move here looking for a fight, but when someone draws a line in the sand against justice, I won't be the one to step back. The vote was unanimous. Karen was removed as president. The remaining board members resigned on the spot. Lana was begged, really, to consider a leadership position in the new HOA. She declined, politely. I didn't come here to run the place, she said. I came here to live, free, and with peace. As for Karen, the final blow came quietly. A civil attorney reached out to us privately, confirming that the misuse of HOA funds combined with the falsified citations and personal harassment opened her up to multiple lawsuits. Several residents were already preparing claims. The for sale sign appeared on Karen's lawn the following week. No farewell party, no neighbors helping her pack. Just a moving truck in the early dawn, and a woman who once ruled with fear, now tucking herself into the shadows she created. Lana and I watched from the porch, mugs in hand, Max curled at our feet. I thought you didn't believe in revenge, I said quietly. I don't, she replied, but I do believe in consequences. She set down her mug and walked inside, leaving me to watch the final act of Karen's reign end, not with a bang but with the quiet crunch of gravel beneath retreating tires. In the weeks that followed, peace returned to Suncrest. The flag stayed up, the porch lights stayed on. Max snoozed in the yard without fear of a citation. Neighbors who once avoided eye contact now waved when they passed. Some stopped by just to thank Lana, to offer stories, or simply sit for a while. The fear had left with Karen. One day a young couple moving in stopped at our driveway. The husband looked nervous. We were told the HOA here can be strict. Is that true? Lana stepped forward and shook his hand. Not anymore, she said. Welcome to the neighborhood. As they drove on, I turned to her. You think she's really gone? Lana shrugged. Karen may pop up somewhere else. People like her always do. But next time she tries to bully someone, maybe she'll think twice. I smiled. And if not, she can deal with someone else's wife. I laughed as Lana disappeared inside, the screen door creaking gently behind her. The wind picked up. The flag on the porch rustled, a quiet salute to the one who refused to bend. Peace wasn't given to us, it was earned. With courage, grit, and the kind of strength you don't put on display but keep sharp, just in case it's needed again. And Lana, she didn't just survive the HOA's wrath, she ended it.